Great. Great to see so many people joining in from all over.
The
So,
International Association of Coaching,
yes,
home of the Coaching Masteries.
great. So, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening from all over because we have people joining us from all over. I would like to welcome all of you all to the International Association of Coaching Learning Circle. Okay, welcome to our members, our guests, and also to the interpreters. My name is Saraswati Rajendran. I go by Sarah, and I am the IAC Global Event Committee, part of the IAC Global Event Committee. And it's my pleasure to be here with you all today. Okay, this today we are going to be talking on the topic on visualization in coaching, expanding and unlocking new possibilities. And we have with us two wonderful speakers with us, each bringing unique lens and depth of experience to this topic. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to our first speaker, Marta Pasternack. She began her coaching career journey in 2004, following a 30-year career as a professional nurse and family nurse practitioner. Today, she is a life coach, a mentor coach, working with clients and coaches across the United States and around the world. She serves on the board of governors of the IAC, and she is also an IAC-Certified Master Coach. Yes. So Martha's path is uniquely shaped by her early studies in wildlife biology in Colorado, her deep experience in nursing and healing, and lifelong meditation practice. Her postgraduate studies at Harvard Divinity School further deepen her exploration of human spirit. She brings a beautiful integration of nature, healing, and presence into her work, guided by a deep respect for both the natural world and the resilience of the human spirit.
Hmm.
And she shares among her many accomplishments what she holds most dear is raising two beautiful babies into caring, loving, and adventurous adults, reflecting her deep commitment to future generations. Martha, we are so grateful to have us with you. Over to you to guide us today on today's exploration.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Buenos días a todos y a todas. I have been fascinated by my exploration of visualization and coaching. The concept was not new to me, but preparing for today to be with you all, it opened my eyes to a lot of different ways to use visualization as a technique in our coaching conversations. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Visualization isn't new. Cultures and societies have used there's my tied tongue, visualization techniques for, well, since ancient times, really. It has been used in petroglyphs, or the stone writings on walls of caves, poetry, music, dance, storytelling, and prayer. It came to the forefront of my attention in the 70s and 80s. There was a book written called Creative Visualization by a woman who is still, so that's a long time ago, her book is still very popular. Shakti Gawain wrote that book. And now it's used in healing, in sports, in business, and in coaching sessions to imagine what might be possible. Visualization is different from meditation, and different from guided centering. Visualization as a tool focuses on what could be in the future. Meditation focuses on what is in the present moment. Sometimes those two techniques are at odds because meditation focuses on the present moment. Visualization takes us into the future. But for the most part, a balance is achieved by the practitioners that use both. Guided centering is a way to ground our energy and settle us down before we engage in some activity. Be that a meeting, a seminar, or a chore that we may have to do, or a journey we're about to take. Personally, I have used guided centering as a tool for many years, and on occasion, I have followed it by using visualization. Now, I'm talking about in my coaching sessions, but never before I get to know my client, their learning style, their preferences, their expectations, and their sensitivities. For example, I had a client who was very devout in her perspective on what she could engage with, meaning meditation for one and visualization. Meditation was okay with her. Visualization was not. So it's not something to take on at the first, your very first introduction, perhaps a guided centering, but to make sure that you find out who your client is. What are their expectations of themselves, of you, the coach, and of the whole coaching process? So here's my test. I have created some slides for us, and I will attempt to share my screen. And I want everyone to visualize me getting this right the first time. Please.
Great. We can see your slide.
Yay. All right, we can all go home now. Visualization as a coaching tool. And what I want to talk about how I see the difference between a tool and a skill. A hammer is a tool. You hit it nails on the head with it. The skill of using a hammer is very different. And so when we think about our coaching tools, it's not just having the tool, it's developing the skill to use that tool in a good and meaningful and helpful way. So visualization must be permission-based, as I alluded to telling you the story about my client. It really helps to include somatic anchoring, which is where do you feel this in your body kind of thing when you're going through what happened. Always, always, always debrief your client's experience, including what worked and what didn't. And follow the visualization with coaching and pertinent accountable action. What's one tiny thing that they can use to cue themselves into the feeling that they want in the following days. So before you cut them loose and say, oh, well, our session's over, it's time to go, make sure that you have helped your client develop an action plan. And again, it's okay to keep it simple so that they can retrieve it easily because they leave the sanctuary of your coaching session and go back into their life. It can get lost. I mentioned anchoring with their body, and that will also help them remember. They can remember, oh yeah, I felt that. I felt that. Now, journaling will help also. Creating a vision board collage will help. Writing a poem, singing a song, putting on their favorite music, or maybe dancing. Whoops, that's not right. So I wanted to bring the coaching masteries into this as we are IAC coaches. And you can create possible images for yourself or for your client. What I have shared with you is what I do, the images that I create in my mind to help me anchor to the different masteries. So, for example, establishing a relationship and maintaining a relationship of trust, I imagine a strong bridge. It's different. Sometimes it's a covered bridge, sometimes it's a stone bridge, sometimes it's a wooden bridge where my client and I are tending together so that we have experience of learning to trust each other. Expanding the client's potential, I see myself or my client dropping a stone into still water and watch the ripples expand and see that as expanding our potential. With engaged listening, it's one of my favorites, and I'll show you what I picture when I think of engaged listening. It's listening for what's underneath what our client is saying, processing in the present just for today, what's going on right now in this moment. Now, in expressing, I like to visualize silence. And I think it's a practice for me that I get a lot of information and I can then carefully choose my words and how I can relate to what our conversation in the coaching conversation is. And these might all be different for you. Clarifying, I picture a clear blue sky. For intentions, setting clear intentions, I see a compass and finding a North Star in a moonless night, pointing towards the desire, dream, or goal, or desire. Let's see. Inviting possibility. My favorite is seeing a monarch butterfly caterpillar because I have seen what happens to that caterpillar. My husband and I have nurtured caterpillars in the wild, and they're fascinating. And for sustainable support, which is it's important to me because a lot of us can decide on support, but we don't have a way to sustain it. We might think something will support us, but until we check it out, we're not sure about that. Now here's how I play with. Now, why can't, okay, here I go, guys. Why can't I forward my, oh, I did it. Here's my picture. Here's what I picture for engaged listening. I have seen icebergs. I haven't seen this one, but it just really reminds me that what I say, there's something that might be underneath it that needs attention, or what my client is saying, there might be something underneath there that I can key my ears, put my ear to it, and listen to what might need to be said. Now, it's important when we're getting ready to use a tool like visualization to check the way we use that in our getting to know you session. Now, I just made an assumption that everyone does a getting to know you session. I don't know if everyone asks about mental health, because what we're doing is involving our mental health. It doesn't necessarily mean ill health or illness, but to check mental health concerns, just like we check can they pay our coaching fee, or we check what our schedules might be. There's a lot to what the expectations are, a lot to check in that getting to know you session. And it's important that we remember that coaching is not therapy. And it's easy in a technique like visualization to cross that line. And that can cause harm. So it's, to me, and everything I say is what I think about my coaching. But to me, if we don't check on certain things, it can become an ethical issue. And ethics in coaching is very, very important. So if your client is being treated by a therapist or a medical doctor, or has been diagnosed with psychosis or disassociation, or has difficulty distinguishing the difference between an image in their mind and reality, visualization exercises are strictly contraindicated. Don't go there. If your client has suffered trauma, has PTSD, and is undiagnosed for any reason, guided imagery can trigger flashbacks. So again, it's important for you to know and how to handle someone who's doing that. You can help them. You can, and this is something I do, give them a cue. Remember going to the dentist when it hurt, you raised your hand? Give them a cue to let you know that they're uncomfortable. You can respond to that, whatever way is appropriate, either bringing them out of the visualization or giving them time to breathe. It depends. Everybody's different, right? If your client has severe anxiety or OCD, being asked to sit still and relax can almost be painful for a person who needs to be moving around all the time, and can increase their anxiety rather than relieve their anxiety. Other considerations are something called aphantasia, aphantasia, and this means a person can't create mental images. It's not an illness, it's not a disease, it's just not how their brain chemistry works. Visualization type prompts can be meaningless and frustrating to people who can't picture what you're trying to offer to them. For this person, journaling or the vision board collage or some other physical kind of activity would be more helpful. person who's analytical, logic-based, or those who identify themselves, or you can identify them as left brain preferences, they may find visualization very awkward and then frustrating. You could have them create a spreadsheet or a chart or a graph or some other way they can see what it is their goal is, their dream and their desire is. A lack of established trust is definitely can get in our way. If visualization is used too early, it could undermine the coaching relationship. The person might just kind of be good and do what you say just to get it over with, but that undermines again the trust that you're building in the relationship. And it's be patient and wait for the right time. You can also do teeny little bits. Once you identify an issue, like from in the masteries, if there's one that you see, you can do little visualizations around that. You don't have to do global visualize. You don't have to visualize the rest of their life or 5 years from now. Vague intentions, meaning you're not really clear about what their intention is for coaching. If the objective for the visualization is unclear, it may just turn into daydreaming. The client won't be able to focus. So bypassing the obstacle never works, as well as honoring it first. And again, this is the getting to know you part. And this is my favorite slide. If we can, here's a vision for you. This is the Colorado River in the US Southwest, where it meets the Green River. And together they go on. This is the Grand Canyon you're looking at. And so whatever you're doing, whatever you choose, however you want to use the tools, be like water and find a way that works for your practice. If it's one-on-one, if it's businesses, if it's health, whatever your coaching practice is, be like water and find the right way for you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have for you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martha, for sharing your insightful presentation. And I love how you said that, visualization, it is actually, you need to know when to use it. Yeah, you need to understand your clients before you know when is the right time to bring this in. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I love your engaged listening, the iceberg. That image is actually something people can visualize about. And your last image about the Grand Canyon, the horseshoe bend, I was so blessed that I got to see it last week. I was actually there, and it
Oh,
was so beautiful. It is really beautiful. So, yes, thank you for sharing that. We will go okay, just to also let everyone know, if you have questions, please feel free to write in the chat, and we will take some of the questions after the session. So, without further ado, let me introduce our next speaker. Okay, so the next speaker we have is Miho Kuno. And Miho brings over a decade of experience in airline industry, where she served as a flight purser for a global airline based in Hong Kong. In this role, she led cabin crew teams and was deeply involved in delivering exceptional service and facilitating training on interpersonal skills and service excellence. Today, she specializes in leadership coaching for Japanese middle and senior leaders in publicly listed companies, supporting them to strengthen their leadership and drive organizational success. Miho is an IAC-certified coach and has been actively involved with IAC since 2021, contributing to the Global Membership Committee and the Hong Kong IAC chapter. She brings a thoughtful and practical approach to leadership development, grounded in both real-world experience and deep presence. Miho, I love to invite you to share your perspective and guide us into how visualization can expand possibilities in coaching. Over to you, Miho.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Martha. It was really beautifully explained how the visualization into coaching and also it's the mental health the field. And we have the Martha's is really well explained, the knowledge about the visualization. Today, I like to share my experience in a coaching practice. It's a more practical part for visualization. I use quite a lot of a picture something like this. You see me. It's a very random picture. I use this to help clients during a coaching session. So I like to introduce some of how to use practically with this picture card today. Before I start, I have a question to everybody. In what circumstances during a coaching engagement would you decide to introduce the visualization into coaching conversation? I'm sure you think you have experience in the coaching session and then you wonder, okay, now I'd like to implement visualization into conversation. What sort of situation can you think of? You don't have to answer it. Just think one or two. Here's some situation you can probably think of. I can imagine. This is also my experience as well. When coachee seems to stuck in a loop of fixed thinking patterns, then you think, okay, you encourage them and help them to get unstuck. Also, when coachees struggle to express their feelings or complex matters, clearly they're struggling. So then you like to help them to gain clarity. Or when they lose momentum or engagement in conversation, then you like to keep the energy going, energy alive, and make the process more engaging. That sort of situation you might want to think about adding a visualization into a coaching engagement. I like to share my my slide here. Can you all see this? Okay, good. I use a picture a lot as a tool whenever I encounter those situations I've mentioned. Of course, coachees can visualize their own mental image, which is also effective. However, in my experience, when I place some physical photos like this, places on the desk, I see the coachee's eyes light up with excitement and a certain magnetic connection kicks in. Here are 3 key benefits of using images. First one is as a gain inspiration. When your mind shifts into a curiosity mode, you become more willing to open up and explore new perspectives. Secondly, you get access to intuitive information. We often process thoughts within our own comfort zone. In traditional coaching, we tend to communicate logically. Some coachees focus on whether this is right or wrong, or is this good or bad, or is this whether it's making sense or not. If that sounds familiar to you too, remember that tapping into the creative side of brain allows you to bypass the analytical mind and access inner thoughts. It's a really powerful way to stretch your intuition and make it memorable. The images stay with you. The feelings sparked by an image last much longer than the word itself. Here's a method I use. I would say images act as a third person in a room. They allow the coach and the coachee to look at the problem together rather than being stuck inside a problem. This distance is where objective intuition begins to speak. This method bridges what it's seeing from outside and what it senses. So interestingly, this is my coaching clients using a picture. So interestingly, the same images, okay, let's say example that different coaches pick the same image. The same image can be interpreted totally differently by different people. This means you are using synchronicity to trigger your intuition, regardless of which image you choose. You can see the picture that's on the desk. There's different pictures, taken by various photographers, featuring different colors, tones, and angles, black and white and colored. Now, I like all of you here tonight, to experience a bit of what it feels like to be a coachee using a picture. I'm going to show you a picture in a minute, but I'd like you to simply follow my instruction. I'll pick one random picture for our session today. Let's try. In the real coaching situations, there's tips for you to pay attention to. First one is a set topic you would like to focus on. This is really has to come first. You have to have a theme or topic that you would like to focus on before picking up the picture. And secondly, pick the specific image that attracts you most. It's that the picture that's something that has familiarity to you and in your situations. So before I show you a picture, you just sort of had a little look at picture earlier. I'd like you to simply just follow my guidance and take a moment with the image, just to look quietly and curiously. Here we are. Before we start, I like to have you 10-second posing. I like to be silence. I like you to take a deep breath in and out and be in the moment for 10 seconds. Here's a question. You look at the picture. In this picture, what do you notice first? What details draw your eyes? What emotion rises before you begin to think? What memories, sensations, or associations appear? This kind of question I like you to ask to coachees. there are 4 stages as we go through this exercise. I started with posing. Pose is a mindful break. Posing allows us to shift our inner frequency from an always busy everyday mode to a quieter one. The next questions are to expand. In this stage, you expand into unknown without worrying about where it leads. Allow a shift from your familiar comfort zone towards new opportunities and insights. Explore as much as you can at this stage. Lots of ideas, lots of thoughts. Encourage the coachee to have a lot of ideas here. The question could be, what word naturally emerges from within you? Or if this image had a voice, what would it say? Or what is the name of a sensation you're experiencing? Then moving on to the focus. This is a conscious stage. Focus on your most significant insights. Define exactly which of these new opportunities you want to take. While you engage your right brain during an expand stage, here you now simulate the left brain to activate logical thinking. So now you've got lots of ideas, expand, at the stage of expand. Now you really focus on and narrow it down and what's really mean to you. The question from coach could be something like, what shift are you resisting and why? Or what shift is already happening that you haven't acknowledged? Or if today were a turning point, which would be your first step? That sort of question to really tapping into the client's thought. The last stage is doing. It's time to move from thought to actions, like any other coaching sessions. Draft an action plan or to-do list that outline the necessary steps and timetable for realizing your insights. The question could be, what is the one action you can take today that moves you closer to this insight? This is the end of exercise. I like to leave you here because I have to be away over time. And I'm glad if you have a little feel about how the coachee receive using a visualization with the photography. Visualization worked. It's truly rewarding for both coach and coachees. Much like I do, you might consider keeping a set of images with you during your sessions. Since this is a very different approach from a standard coaching conversation. Like Martha mentioned at the beginning of a session earlier, please remember to ask your coachee for permission to try something new and different. I hope you find this method is very helpful. I wish you the very best on your coaching journey. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop the line at any time. Nice to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miho. Thank you so much for bringing us through that exercise. And I think everyone felt it as well. I've seen quite a number of them on the chat, said that this had sunlight, appreciation, enjoy, smells good, in your photograph. So it was really good. And then how you managed, especially using this when the client is stuck and bringing them over through this whole process. So thank you so much for sharing. So we had such good sharing from Martha and Miho, and bringing us how visualization can help us in our coaching conversations. So let's take some questions now. I think there's one question. Let me see.
Yes, there was one in the chat. I can read it here.
Okay.
I believe it was after Martha's presentation. How can we use visualization in coaching to invite the coachee to see themselves in an elevated version? And what introductory question could open access to that inner perspective?
Ingrid, do you want us to answer that, or?
Please, Martha, if you could go
Okay.
ahead, and Miho as well.
It's
Welcome to share your thoughts.
Thank you, Ricardo. That's a very good question. First of all, the word that jumped out at me was elevated version. And I'm assuming from your name that you're speaking Spanish, but elevated, I would ask my client what that looked like. And when the question I use in coaching sessions more often than not is, how would your life be different? And I'll use the word elevated. How would your life be different if there was a place for you to be where you could be elevated to the version that you desire? How would your life be different? And then anchor that with, what's one thing you can do today to bring yourself there? I like to keep it more neutral. How would your life be different, rather than creating images other than that? But that's just one of my sensitivities as well. And please tell me if that answers your question.
Indeed, that's opened my mind, right? Really engaged. I really felt that you have right. That's a very good introduction question, and you keep the perspective of not to go into the visualization in the moment. You gave them the permission that they first, understand what they want, and that answered my question very well. Actually, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. And we have one question. I think this one is for Miho from Coolwood Core. How would I know on what image to prepare when I don't know what the coaching topic is going to be?
Okay, the straight answer would be any picture. Any picture relates. I mean, it's like I mentioned in the session. If you pick any picture, and different coachee interpret it differently. So the insight come out from a coachee would be something really strongly related to what their coaches is holding at the moment. So you can have a random pictures. It doesn't matter. I'm collecting all these pictures when I have opportunities, and we're also the creator producing this kind of a picture card, and they got a bundle of this, and then just show them. There is no such answer in the picture. Doesn't have an answer. The coachee will pull him or her answer out of this photography. So the answer is, you don't have to choose. You've got this random picture, and then just introduce them to them something that most attracted by coaching.
Right.
Did I answer my question? Did I answer your question? Yes. Good.
Yes, thank you. But I have another question on top of that. When would I use, in which part of the coaching session would be good for me to use these images?
Okay, it really varied, and this is not a standard of coaching engagement. So I often started with a traditional coaching conversation. With the verbally we talk and have without using a picture, but it's just something I like I mentioned with this coaching. The coachee sort of feel like, okay, I don't know how to explain this. Then sort of the conversation seems to get stuck, and then okay, would you? Of course, you can carry on talking about it, or you can introduce. Okay, now would you like to try something different now? Here are some pictures I'd like to share with you. Or you can ask a coachee like, okay, today, would you like to try, picture card session or something like that, with a permission beforehand. So there isn't no such a role that when to implement this method into coaching conversation. Is
Thank
that
you.
okay? Yeah.
Yes, thank
Good.
you. Appreciate
Good.
it.
Thank you, Miho. Due to time constraint, we may not be able to take more questions. Marcela, you have something you want to say?
Sí, muchas gracias. Ha sido muy
Yes, thank you very
interesante
much.
para
It's been very interesting.
porque
Thank you, Martin,
algo que me
Miho,
parece muy
because
importante es que
something
a
I think
veces
it's very important is that
los
sometimes
coaches que no
the
tienen
coaches
experiencia
that don't have
siempre están las
experience want to use
visualizaciones gustan,
visualization
pero no
because they
porque
like it,
realmente sea
but not
necesario
because it's really
necesariamente
necessary at that
con el
point
cliente. Entonces,
with the
es
client.
muy
So
importante lo que
it's
ustedes
very
dijeron en
important
el
what
sentido
you
de
said
tener
in
las
the sense that
precauciones que la
we need
persona
to
tiene
be
al momento
cautious
de
if the person has
determinadas
some type of
psicológicas,
disease,
etcétera. O
psychiatric,
también
psychological,
personas
or
que no
whatever.
se conectan con
Because
las
there's also people that
visualizaciones
don't connect
y no
with
sería una herramienta
visualizations,
que sea útil
and
para las
we want
sesiones.
the tool to be
Entonces,
useful
muchas
for those
gracias
sessions.
por
So
esa aclaración
thank you very
porque
much for
a todos
clarifying that.
los coaches
I think
nos
that all
sirve
coaches,
saber
it
si vamos
helps
a
us
utilizar estas
know when
herramientas.
to use
Gracias.
these tools. Thank you.
I just want to say we did not have interpretation from Spanish to Chinese today, as speakers were not Spanish speaking. But what Marcela just said, she's basically saying that uh, it's not always the right moment to use uh, pictures or visualization. It's always important to understand if we're doing it because the client needs it or because we like the technique. So just to differentiate that in a summary.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we are running out of time, but there was actually one more question that Dr. Shan asked. Yeah. Do we have time for that?
And yeah, and then we'll go to the pictures. But go ahead, Dr.
Yeah.
Shan,
Okay,
please.
wait. I will read that question, but while we answer that question, I just wanted to say that we also have a feedback form on the chat. So feel free to please fill it up. It's actually for us to continuously improve on this learning circle and to bring in topics that what topics that you all would like to hear next time. Okay, so go ahead and fill up the feedback form. So the last question before we wrap up and take photographs is Dr. Shan was asking Martha, we are working now with a group who wants to bring in coaching for holistic wellness, which they say will include mental wellness. How do you advise them from the coaching perspective? Martha, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm muted. So because of time, I offered to send Shan my thoughts privately. So just in the interest of everybody's time, I'll be doing that with him. I have a
Okay.
million ideas. I got a million of
Good.
them.
Thank you for that. Okay, now I would like to invite all of y'all to turn on your cameras so that we can take a group photo. And Ingrid is going to help us do that. So please turn on your camera and smile.
Okay, so I had to take 3 pictures because we have 3 panels, so bear
Sure.
with me here. So the first one, smile, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was the first one. I'm going with the second panel here, 1, 2, 3. And we might not need a third one. And the third one, mostly names, so there's no pictures.
Okay, so I would like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank Martha and Miho for the excellent sharing. I hope that everyone has taken in some coaching approaches, toolkits that you can take and use in your coaching conversations. I would like to thank the behind the scene team as well for organizing this whole learning circle, the interpreters, and everyone for joining us. Thank you very much. Have a great day, night, wherever you guys are, and look forward to seeing you all in the next learning circle. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The International Association of Coaching. Home of the Coaching Masteries.